For KRVN Sports, I'm Jason Jorgensen. Turned out to be a weekend to remember for UNK senior thrower Alex Goracke, who broke a 23-year-old school record in the weight throw on Friday night at Nebraska, then broke the record again on Saturday in Crete. He talks about his big 2 days last weekend for the Lopers.
Yeah, it definitely was, and especially doing it back-to-back days, which is something kind of not unheard of, but especially for me. Usually we don't respond well, the second day after either, kind of beating up the body. And so doing it back-to-back days is definitely something special, and it's just kind of absolutely crazy on my part.
It looks like you've been throwing pretty well. Did you think something like this was possible going into last weekend?
Yeah, definitely. We've been doing a lot of technical stuff kind of in the gym and everything like that. We've been kind of putting a net down in front of our throwing sector. And so we haven't been worrying about how far it's going. We're just worrying about, how it kind of feels technically and kind of in the circle. And, if it feels good in the circle, it's going to translate out into distances. And so the past couple weeks and pretty much this whole year, I've been feeling really, really good, really, really sharp technically. And, it just, I always knew I kind of had it in me, especially, kind of seeing, my marks over the past couple years and kind of having a little bit of a lag just these last 2 years, not really making as big a jumps as I was kind of hoping. And then this year, for whatever reason, we're kind of just putting it all together and we're seeing a lot more jumps, a lot more consistently.
Okay, here's a $500 question. When you let it go, did you know maybe you had something special?
Yeah, no, at UNL, that's the funny part. Their sectors, they've got a bunch of sand out there, and there's no, crossing lines in the sector. So, when I threw it at UNL for the first time, I knew it was good. I knew it was better than a couple of my previous ones. But I didn't have a reaction. I didn't yell at it or anything like that. And I was, just staring up at the board, and Brett Wetten's record in meters was 2014, and I'd never thrown over 20 meters. My PR before that was 1994, and so I was close. But yeah, I'm just staring up at the board because I was like, hey, I knew it felt pretty good, and one of the UNL guys was like, hey, that one's kind of pushing out there, and because they kind of know what the distances are without seeing the lines and because of how often they throw there, but. Yeah, and then 2015 popped up, and I beat it by 1 centimeter, and it was kind of just a little bit of a shock. Like I said, I knew I had it in me, but for a couple years now, I've been kind of flirting with that 20-meter line, and just to kind of see that number pop up at UNL was awesome because historically I haven't thrown too well at UNL. They've got a kind of a unique ring and a unique setup, but yeah. So at UNL, I honestly had no idea that I broke it after I threw it. And then that was kind of the opposite at Doane, kind of that next day. It didn't necessarily feel super technical like the UNL one, but when I let that one go at Doane, I had a really good feeling. I knew I got a lot into it in that last turn. And then when I saw it land, about a foot away from the back barrier, I kind of, had a little bit bigger of a reaction, kind of started jumping up and down and kind of yelling at it because, if it was about to hit the barriers, I knew we probably had something special in that one.
This is such a different event, and a lot of people are not familiar with this unless they're really into track and field. What's the secret to being good at this? What have you learned over the years in your time there at Kearney?
Yeah, there's I wish I had some sort of magic potion or just some great words that would instantly make you throw really far, but especially in the weight, and the weight and the hammer with the two kind of heel turn events, it's so inconsistently consistent. And you can do all the work that you want to, and I've thrown this event for now. This is my 6th year, and just you'll wake up some days and it just feels like it's your first day doing it. So it's at the end of the day, it's just kind of trusting that, at this point in time, your feet know what they're supposed to do. And you just kind of have to go in there and just kind of make it happen. Cause, there's going to be times where, it feels really, really connected with the implement, and then everything's kind of making sense. And then there's other days where, it maybe just isn't working great, or, the ring that you're throwing on is pretty foreign and a lot different than your home ring. And you kind of just have to go in there and kind of see what happens.
You're a small town kid. You were a state champion. I would think you got to like how things have worked out in your time with UNK. It looks like this was a good place for you to go and develop.
Yeah, for sure. That's That's something that we definitely really pride ourselves here at UNK, especially Coach Toby's program. He's getting really, really good at, taking maybe an undersized guy kind of like me when I first joined, maybe, not super technical or anything like that, and kind of building. We've had a lot of success with, Class D guys, like me, Jake Bartling, a couple other guys that, from super small town Nebraska, and we come to UNK, and then we're able to compete on a national stage. And so I think that just kind of is a test to Coach Toby's kind of work ethic, one himself, because, it's not like, my PR in high school in the shot put was 53 feet, and it's pretty good, but it's nothing, to kind of, tote around or anything like that. Like it's a decent mark for Class D, but definitely, when I was throwing next to Cam Jurgens and some of those other guys, they were throwing it a lot farther than I was. So it's just really, really cool to, with our program, that if you're a small town kid in Nebraska and you really love throwing and you don't have a problem working really, really hard, you could come to UNK and compete at a national stage with, guys from Texas and California and Florida and some of those states that, are known for having some of the best, high school track and field athletes.
So you broke the school record here from the great Brett Witten. What's your goals now moving forward? Do you kind of recalibrate things, or just trying to keep trying to improve and do the best you can here the rest of this indoor season?
The next goal is to be an All-American. Last year, I qualified for nationals, and then, went to both the national meet for indoor and outdoor, for the indoor with the weight and then the outdoor with the hammer. Had a pretty good competition kind of both times. Was a little bit unlucky indoor last year, and kind of, had a scratch that, me and my coach didn't feel like was a scratch. And so that kind of ruined our chances. And so now, being up in that kind of top echelon of weight throwers for this kind of indoor season, I think I'm 6th right now in the country. The next goal is definitely to finish top 8 this year at kind of nationals, and hopefully get my first team All-American. So that would be the first goal. But then the second goal is just keep pushing and seeing how far we can really get this to go, because Brett, I've been staring at Brett's name on that wall for a long time, for all 6 years that I've been here. And, that felt like, just miles away. That 66-foot mark just felt so far away. And so now that we're here, it's I want to take some time to really kind of, enjoy the work that I kind of put in. Because, I think we sometimes glorify, especially at track and field, you kind of glorify the grind, and you don't necessarily always kind of take a step back and, see how kind of far you've come, especially from my freshman year when Coach Toby can tell you I was a project guy, and I was pretty rough. And so, but yeah, so I think, like I said, All-American is definitely the next goal here. But then just kind of keep pushing myself and seeing how far we can get this implement to go in my last year.
And that was UNK senior thrower Alex Goracke. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jason Jorgensen.